Hi, I'm Chris Sabin, co-founder here at GenRenew. I'm responsible for the operations side of the business and making sure that projects get built as quickly as possible. Today I will be going over site evaluations, why they're needed, and some tips on how to best get the information located on the site eval form. Our goal here at GenRenew is to make sure that our clients have a seamless process with as little inconvenience as possible. This is one of the reasons why we have our sales teams get the site eval information while they're there at the house. Scheduling a separate site evaluation can be a challenge sometimes, not just for us, but for the homeowner as well. If we can avoid a separate site evaluation and get everything we need from your visit, this gets us a jump start to get the project installed that much quicker. There will be times where a separate site eval will be needed in those more challenging projects, but we've seen that about 90% of projects can be moved forward quickly with a sale accomplished site eval.
Let's jump right into the site eval form. Your form may look slightly different than the one we have here, but a lot of the info should be very similar. The top of the form has a lot of important information that may seem redundant, like the customer name, address, and contact info, but we utilize this section to make sure the info we already have is correct. The customer's Wi-Fi is extremely important. This is how their solar system will communicate. We need to know the system is performing so we can make sure the customer is getting a great product. You may think it's easier for an installer to get this information, but it's actually much more difficult. So please get this info while you are there. The welcome call is needed for most finance partners. At this time, we are utilizing SunPower's financing. Please complete the call and write down the confirmation number or any notes necessary. For promos, please write down any details in the promo detail section. If you have given away a manager-approved promotion, this is the section where you would enter those details. We now come to the more technical portion of the site evaluation form. These sections are extremely important. If we don't have the info we need here, this can significantly delay a project from moving forward. General condition. The general condition section is where you will discuss the condition of the roof with the customer. Do they have leaks? When was the last time the roof was replaced? Any other concerns or past issues? Get as much info here as you can about the roof from the customer. Okay, so when we're talking about attic access, we're not talking about yes or no. We're talking about whether or not there's a scuttle hole or pull down stairs, something like that. If we need something that needs ladder to get up to the scuttle hole, we need to know that information. So when you write down in the attic access, you're writing down second floor, closet hole with a ladder access. Roof material. The main type of roofing we install on is asphalt shingle. There are two major types of asphalt shingle: 3-tab and architectural, commonly called timberline. 3-tab is much cheaper and fails much quicker than architectural shingles. If you have the opportunity to check, please make sure that there are not too many layers of shingle on the roof. Sometimes homeowners, to save money, will install a new roof on top of the existing roof. If they do this too many times, it will put too much weight on the roof structure. If you notice this or have any concerns that this may be the case, let us know so we can catch this before the installation. Our installers are trained to look for this prior to installation and will halt all progress if this is noticed. We also can install a metal standing seam and certain flat roofs. Not all metal roofs are the same. Metal standing seam looks like this. This is the only type of metal roof we can install on. Most other metal roofs are corrugated and look like this. These are not adequate structurally, and installation methods for this type of roof are extremely difficult. We can also install on flat roofs. However, the flat roof has to be of the roll roof type like this. Rubber membrane roofs that are typical with row homes similar to this cannot be installed on without major structural reinforcement. So please try and stay away from any type of rubber membrane roofs. Okay, when we're talking about measuring the rafters, we're talking about these rafters right here. These rafters are the rafters that go with the width of the house. And what we need is we need three specific measurements. We need the width of the depth of the rafter,
the width of the rafter, and then the spacing between the two rafters. And the best way to get that information is basically have any type of tape measure or a measuring stick. I've seen some measuring sticks before, and you get them. You use your less dominant hand to take the measurement, and then you take your phone and take with your dominant hand. You take the picture there. We also need this measurement here, and then between the two, take a step back and take that picture there as well. Those are the three imperative measurements we need. If you also have the opportunity to be able to reach the ridge, we also need that measurement there as well. So if you can get to the ridge, sometimes some attics are too tall, you won't be able to get up to the ridge. But if you can get up to the ridge, take that measurement too, get a picture of that measurement, and you should be all set with that.
When taking these measurements, you may have a design that has panels on multiple sections of the house. Please make sure you get those measurements on each area of the roof where the panels are located. For example, you may have a project that looks like this. If you were to take measurements of the rafters in this section of the roof, they may not be the same measurements in this section, or even this section. It makes a huge difference in whether or not the roof can support the weight of the system. And during inspections, an inspector may call out if the design does not have the correct dimensions. When talking about rafter spacing and size, those measurements that you see me take in that video are the measurements that will help you determine the spacing and size. Keep in mind that the options here on the form are trade sizes. Your actual measurement may be a little different. For example, the spacing between two rafters might be 20 or 22 inches. This would be 24 inches on center, trade size. You may measure a rafter and the size is 5.5 inches. This would be a 2x6 trade size. Truss systems. The difference between a home that has a truss system and one that does not is pretty straightforward. Typical truss system attics are very tall and have a lot of cross members like this. If the attic you are in is shallow in height and does not have a lot of cross members supporting the roof, something similar to this picture here, then you are likely dealing with a non-truss system. Truss systems are much more common in newer homes. Adders. If for some reason the roof needs replacement or we need to take down trees, utilize this part of the form to let us know. If there are any other major adders that we need to know, please make sure you notate that somewhere here on the form. Electrical. This portion of the form requires you to get some technical information from where the main panel is located. Conduit path. In this section, we are looking for any detailed information from the customer and yourself that can help us determine the conduit path. Some reps will sometimes write things here like hide well. That goes without saying. We want to make sure that our conduit is located inconspicuously. We are looking more for those situations where a customer is adamant that the conduit is run interior to the house, keeping in mind that this is a major adder and could potentially require the customer to have interior sheetrock repaired and painted. We are also looking for any type of major obstructions that might hinder us from getting the conduit up to the roof without much trouble.
So this is the electric panel. Right now we have it open. You don't have to have it open when you do your site evaluation. But what we like to look for is a couple things. We want to see the main rating of the breaker. Make sure you get a close-up picture of that main rating of the breaker. And inside the panel cover, it's a bunch of information on here that we want to see. We want to be able to see what's on the breaker panel itself, what's being used by the house, and then all this information. It's important that we get that information for our electrical design so that we know what size the panel is itself. Because right here with this main breaker, you also have this bus right here, and we're able to design a system that can maximize the size of that bus. So this is all imperative information. If you have the opportunity to take the panel cover off, great, but it's not necessary. So just make sure you get a picture of that. You take a picture of the main breaker rating,
the information on the panel itself, and then take a step back and take a nice wide picture, or see what is next to this main panel. If there's any obstructions, anything that we need to know that we're working with in order to make the installer's job just a little bit easier.
Main panel, make and model. This information is located usually on the inside of the door. If you are unsure, just take a bunch of pictures of the labels. Older systems like Federal Pacific and Pushmatic panels will automatically need to be upgraded. Main breaker rating. As discussed in the video, take a picture of the main breaker on the panel. There will be times where this main breaker is located next to or on the meter outside. When in doubt, take a picture or 10. Location and available breaker space. Make sure to notate where the main panel and main breaker is located, such as in the basement or in the garage. When we ask for the available breaker space, we are asking if in the main panel there is enough space for an extra main breaker. Electrical notes. If there are any other additional notes that we need to be aware of, please make sure you notate that here, such as if the client is commenting that the system is old or if they've been having electrical issues. This is a great time to mention that here. Pictures. You are our only way to see what is going on inside and outside the house. So the more info you can get us, the better. We typically like to see anywhere from 20 to 40 pictures. This checklist is not just a suggestion or a guide, this is mandatory. Front of house with the house number. This is very important for us to verify that the house sold is the house we install on. We also need this for our finance partner, which at this time is SunPower. Exterior. We need to get a good idea of how the house is laid out. When taking pictures outside, try and take pictures at all four corners of the house. This will help us determine a conduit path and confirm location of the meter. Rooftop and obstacles. We are not asking you by any means to get up on the roof. However, we are asking you to take a few steps back and try your best to get a few shots of the roof from the ground level. This way we can see any conditions and any possible obstacles. If it's at night, there will be little you can do here, but try and get it if you can. Shading. If there are large trees or buildings surrounding the area, make sure you take a few steps back here and notate those shading issues. Rafters and attic. We went over most of this when we talked about the roof section. As a reminder, please make sure you take several photos of each attic area of where the panels are being installed. Promotions or building and concerns. If you're promoting an electrical service or some other service, please make sure you take any pictures that will help us with that promotion. If you see a problem in the attic, like an existing leak or something similar, please take as many pictures as you can. Electrical. We went over most of this during the electrical section, but as a reminder, take a lot of pictures of this area. When taking a picture of the utility meter, make sure you do not just take a picture of the meter up close, but also far away so we can see where the meter is located on the building. Paperwork. This all goes without saying, but a project will not be moved forward without all of the proper paperwork. Utility bills and property surveys are mandatory. The signed POA or limited power of attorney is mandatory. Please make sure you get all of this before you leave. Finally, once you have all of this information, have the customer sign off on the bottom so you can confirm that you've received the proper information from them. A few more notes here. There are a couple things not on this site eval form that will help you after a sale. First is if you run into a project like a ground mount or a detached garage that needs a trench, pictures of the garage and that area leading up from the garage to the house is extremely helpful. If we need to trench, we need to see if we can trench successfully. And finally, a little tip. If you can sketch a quick drawing on the back of the sheet to show where the existing equipment, like the meter and the panel is, this will help us confirm the pictures.
And that's all it takes. Please feel free to go over this video as many times as you need. If you have any questions about this process, talk to your manager or come see me anytime. I'd be happy to help. Thanks for being part of this team, and I look forward to building a lot of solar projects together.